On this episode of Clean and Friends, we're diving deep into the mind of a true original. He's the creative force behind Bucket of Bits, the Bucket Cast, and more. A one-of-a-kind voice in content creation, blending chaotic comedy, surreal storytelling, and unapologetic authenticity. From anime and Adult Swim inspiration to the powerful lens of life on the spectrum, he's not just building content, he's building community. We're talking about art, autism, and the evolving cannabis culture, including the state of New Jersey dispensaries, the role of cannabis advisors, and the future of home grow. So light one up, lean back, and get ready. Bucketman and friends, welcome to the show.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Clean and Friends. And today we have a special guest, a good friend that we just met recently, very knowledgeable, great with content, and I can't wait to talk about like content making and stuff. But let me introduce you, the Bucket Man himself. How you doing today, man?
Thank you, my friend. How are we doing, Clean? It's awesome to be on the show. Happy to be with you. Happy 420 week, everyone. How are we doing?
Happy 420 week, and it's funny because this is exactly I thought you would be the perfect person to have a conversation with on 420 week with everything going on. We just met a couple weeks ago over at the Lifted grand opening event, and you actually had a great conversation with my wife. We were talking about all things like anime, content creation, cannabis advocacy. Lots of good stuff, and I couldn't be more excited to have you here. I want to start off with how you make your content. I'm a fan of it. I love flashiness. I love sounds. I love character. What is the like? What's the mindset when going into making like some of the content that you do? Because it's so exciting and it's very different than what I'm seeing lately today.
How do I answer that question? So the best way to start off that answer is to say I have autism. I was diagnosed at the age of 6. Only into my 20s did I really start to be able to grab the reins fully and consistently of my mind. And even then, it's sometimes things just happen in the creationary process or, just in general that I can't explain. I will tell you that a lot of my inspiration comes from, like you said, anime, but a bigger part, Adult Swim. Adult Swim had a bigger impact on me than I thought, and I realized that as I was making my content throughout the experience, and it just showed more and more. I love the vibe of it. I love I have a podcast where I explain, just as a kid, the kind of taboo nature of, watching that late at night, being up late at night, whatnot. So definitely ingrained with me a lot. So a lot of it comes from that. There are various, it's a simple answer is it's inspiration drawn. I have so many people throughout my time, watching YouTube and different content creators and different media actors and stars that I draw inspiration from. John Tron, 12th of a Dime. Probably no one's ever heard of him. He was around for a little while with Make Me Bad, but no one ever talked about him.
Yeah.
So many great, amazing minds. And it just to wrap that part up, it really simply draws to the point that, I would see nothing if I did not stand upon the giants that I followed.
I love that. And now Adult Swim, I'm an Adult Swim baby too. I used to stay up late just to watch Space Ghost, I was a Space Ghost like fan like growing up, and then like when Coast to Coast came out, I was just in love with it. And I guess like it is kind of interesting because like shows like that kind of shape our mentality of who we are today and our characteristics. And our wit, I guess you would say. You know, I do want to talk about this though. You said that you are autistic. I have my children are autistic, and you know, it's interesting. It's a very interesting life, and it's very exciting to me when, because a lot of people today, and it's getting better now. A lot of people didn't really understand it or know how to talk about it and things like that. But I think now people are starting to understand that autism is a wide range now, and there's different factors of it. And I it's really cool to see you so active and so creative and have such an imagination, because I see it brings a lot of hope. You know what I mean? I don't know how old you are. I would guess
33.
late 20s. How old? 33. And you look so full of life, man. And I think that is so important to have, and for other people to see that. And I really truly believe that people are starting to understand autism more. Do you see the same thing?
Let me react to each of those pieces. First of all, to the Adult Swim piece. Rest in peace, George Lowe, late voice actor of Space Ghost. We will miss you greatly, and I will, probably say that 6 more times before the year's over, maybe more.
Absolutely.
It means a lot to me to hear when people you say that it brings hope what I do, that I seem full of life. And I don't say this to put focus on myself. I say this to bring perspective and hopefully a practice for people to stop and think, and not just think that the outward appearance is the end all be all of that person. Growing up autistic wasn't easy. I definitely hit a fight or flight point during boarding school where, I kind of had a mind chat with myself and said, hey, you keep acting like that, you're going to get your ass kicked. Um, and that was definitely a major development point for me. Another one was when I was wrongfully imprisoned and arrested, and that's why
That's awful.
the life comment means a lot to me. It's been a struggle. It's since a weekend in a solitary cell, and it's infinitely validating to hear someone else say that because I could look at myself and I look at myself in the mirror and say, I've taken care of myself. I look clean, whatnot. But it's a whole nother thing when you hear someone else say that after all that you still look like you're full of life, and it definitely makes me feel like, no, I'm stronger than I am. I feel like I am. I definitely think that a lot of people are coming to terms and understanding with autism. Are we in a better place now with those in power to further understand it and maybe go backwards? Let's see. It's not boding well, but I will say that
Yeah.
it takes more people like myself who are willing to be open about their autism. Um, Willing to, because people get self-conscious about it, like you're not born with a manual on how to be a human being.
You're
And
right.
if possible, less so for disabled people and autistics, because you're watching these other people who are not having these kinds of struggles that you're having, because you look like someone could say, that guy's missing an arm. It's like, okay, well, I definitely see and validate that. This is my brain. This is how
Yeah.
I see the world and understand things. So it's definitely a different ball of wax altogether. I hope that more what I do can help more people be comfortable with being open about their autism. I definitely
Absolutely.
think no fear of that being open about your autism, aside from everything in the current day, is having it held against you. I've had many times where, in work situations, never the cannabis community, I will say that the cannabis industry has been so friendly to my autism, especially Air, who I started with.
It's amazing to hear, actually.
Yeah, it's yeah, I love it. Air, I'll just segue real quick here. Air Woodbridge is an MSO, and they are, I will say that, yes, but they are run by some excellent people over there who care. And that's why you see that place packed all the time. Yet their menus, MSO's menu, people go
Yeah.
back because the people there care. End of story.
I actually live right next to Air.
Yeah, Woodbridge is great. Shout out a couple people. If you talk to Carol, you ask her about her rabbit, that'll make her day. Ryan, you talk to him for a while about music. Um, Egypt is one of the sweetest and kindest managers I have ever had, if not the sweetest and kindest manager I've ever had in my life. Still to this day, throughout my visits, it makes me feel so welcome. Um, but back to
Yeah.
it can be people feel like it's held against you because you open up about your autism and you state certain things that you have difficulties with because everyone's different, and then the moment that goes inconsistent and you don't have that issue repetitively, it's questioned or it's invalidated, and it makes it very hard for people, and that's why it then makes it hard for that person to stand up to that person and say, no, you can't hold me to that stipulation. It's not black and white like that. Once they start
Yeah.
seeing that point, they start feeling discouraged, self-conscious, or some start getting angry and irrational. And that person who's doing that is not going to realize, okay, I obviously they didn't do anything. They're not doing anything wrong. They're just confused and they're having because of their autism. It's a whole ball of wax because like the people don't know
Yeah,
how. I think people are more aware of it. To wrap that up, I'm from going on a long time here. I think people are more
no,
aware of
it's
it.
okay.
Do they know how to handle it? No.
I agree with you. I mean, I even my son's about to be 13 years old in July, and it's interesting to see because he's more communicative of it now. Now it's interesting to see because like growing up, he didn't know how to, I guess, express himself, and then like as time went on and like he switched schools and had a better education system behind him, people who were helping him and getting the help that he needs. Now he's able to communicate with me how he feels, and it's really
a
nice.
big a
It's really
big thing you
nice.
can do to help him hone in on that because I was able to identify feelings, but if looking back on it, it was very black and white. Angry, sad, happy. There was no like looking upon it and being like, oh well, I didn't have a lot of introspective. I didn't have a lot of ability to look deeper and say, you know well, I'm upset about it now, but I know I'm going to get over it. Or, death would stick with me for a while. Like, I have an attitude now where with some people, I can actually have a celebration of that and say, they lived a great life and, this is
Yeah.
what they would want and actually carry that spirit and believe it. So, a big thing you can do to help them is when they say, I'm frustrated. Why are you frustrated? Tell me, like, just it may seem annoying to them, but you go through like, tell me why. Okay, and if you think
Yeah.
that they can redefine that, suggest that to them and say, do you think that it's maybe this? It really going through and taking that imaginary permanent marker and drawing out that map for their brain for them to their emotions. It is something I wish my parents had done a lot more of, or at all. Not that they didn't do anything. It's just, parents are parents.
Yeah, this is true, and even as a parent myself, I'm still learning every day. But I am grateful to have had like the people who I had around me to help me understand it more. And I think that to me that was the most helpful, was having friends who had gone through this with their children and had great advice to help me get through it, instead of because I know a lot of parents struggle with their children with autism and they don't know what to do sometimes, and it was really nice to have a set of friends who knew how to handle these things and just really hone in on those emotions and things like that. It was really beautiful, and I don't even know how to like wrap it up, but it's to me it's a beautiful thing. The creativity, to me, the creativity part about it is incredible, because I've even seen my son pick up programs like Blender and do 3D animations, and really like, all because he wanted to do something creative for Roblox or something like that. And
Right.
he figured it out. And I'm just like, wow, like the creativity is outstanding. And you're starting to see a lot of that too. And it's just it's a beautiful world. To me, it's becoming a more beautiful world, despite certain frailties at the moment, you know.
Encourage it, encourage the creativity, and just be that person that they can go to and talk to. It's beautiful for all those reasons. It can be very disorienting when they start to see, some people are more socially accepted with their autism, and some they deal with the brunt reality that it polarizes a lot of people. But
Yeah,
I'll tell you one thing, the people that stick around are great.
I love that. I love that. So what we were saying before, it is 420 week. It is this is for there's like holidays happening this week. I mean, 420 lands on Easter Sunday, and it's kind of funny because I'm going to be balancing having breakfast with my family and then going to a cannabis event right after.
Yeah, and I was waiting to see if you were going to touch right on it. Literally Easter. I was going to say, yeah, no, something about a guy in some wood.
It's going to be great. Now, I obviously, as as a podcaster, I always got to do some digging. Now, I saw that you were recently at the Mad Hatter. Now, is that correct? Is that the name of the shop?
So the
That's on 1 and 9?
dispensary in Avenel is called the Mad Hatter. Yes, from time to time, I will be there doing the Sativa Cross podcast with
Yeah, I'm a fan of his too. I love it. I saw that you guys have been working together too, which is awesome as well. And
Yes.
I think I love his setup, by the way. But seeing you two work, but I saw you guys over there, and my wife drove past that area before, and we know that there's like a sex shop right next to it, a very popular one.
So let me clarify this, and I think Ian will thank me for doing this. Shout out to Ian and Rob, the guys who run the Mad Hatter. They're excellent people, wonderful guys, and really, honestly, I'm just gonna say this: they probably they actually definitely have the best opening menu I've seen on a New Jersey dispensary so far.
That's what I heard.
They had a wide array, Just a Woman, MPX, Timelet, right off the bat, too, which really impressed me. So let's clear the air here. Yes, in the Mad Hatter from the start, there was an adult entertainment store. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that the Mad Hatter bought that property and that shop has closed. The interesting
Really?
thing is that they've decided to take in the inventory. That's their own thing, and I don't fault it. It's just, and I hope everyone realizes it's just me being thrown about like, okay, that's just not the usual vibe of the dispensary, but nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, it's there.
It taught me about there's some sort of law to sidestep real quick about, I think it's like the 60/40 law that's like Spencer's has to use, where like only so much of your product can be like sex toys. That's
Interesting. Okay.
apparently why they have to have that, like they have all their stuff in the back as they do. Portion like 40% of their stuff.
Yeah.
So but no, so that shop, the adult entertainment store is closed, and they use that space creatively. That's what, as I noted before, it's with a way of outside the 25 feet the CRC requires for a consumption near a dispensary. So they use
Okay.
that space for events and consumption space.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
the Mad Hatter is an excellent spot. I love going over there. There's
Convenient too.
what?
Convenient spot. It's in a very convenient
It
area.
really is. It really is. It's a wide spot. On the 22nd, we are going to be doing a garden party. We're going to have a dab par. We're going to be doing
Really?
patient panel, a couple other panels, live podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's the Earth Day event.
You know what? I'll be there. I have one of my other podcast partners is actually driving from Michigan, and he's going to be here for the week. His birthday's on the 24th, actually. So we'll show up because like I said, I mean, if I'm right next to Air, then I'm just a stone's throw away from Mad Hatter.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely. Love to see you there. But yeah, Mad Hatter's an awesome spot. That's the story behind the adult entertainment store. They're
yeah,
working on,
interesting.
they've cleaned up that place a lot inside. It looks a lot like, they're not going to repaint and everything, but they've got their the dab bar set up in there. It's a little kind of Hawaii bamboo hut. It's again like just a Hawaii bamboo hut inside this building. It's cool. I like it. It's gonna be cool outside
Yeah,
in the summer. They're gonna have a
I
food
feel
truck
like that.
planted out there all summer too.
Yeah, I feel like that area was like almost meant to become like a dispensary of some sort, or like what it is now, literally an event space, a dispensary, and you literally have. I mean, the parking lot is
Yep,
huge.
yep.
You could do so much there.
I just wish the patrons of the old location got the note. They just keep coming.
No,
It's
no,
again. They have the stuff in the other shop. No fault to that at all. And let's be
yeah,
frank here. All sorts of people go into adult entertainment stores. That's
yeah,
that's all sorts. It's the ones that stand out that it like stains all over their sweatpants, greasy hair. It's
yeah.
just like
The ones who want to enjoy the booths with other people.
I try to forget about it. Like that.
I try to forget about it too.
Moving on.
No, yeah, but yeah, I love to see that there is a dispensary space there now, and it because my wife and I would drive past it, and we saw like the big lettering because you see it on the side. It says Mad Hatter Dispensary Smoke Shop, and I'm just like, maybe there's a smoke shop there, because over in this area, the Plantavis just opened. There's Air. You got Zenleaf and Elizabeth, Cookies and Harrison, which to me I believe is way overpriced.
I got a tequila sunrise card from there at the end of last summer. It tasted like dish soap.
Yeah,
So I mean, like just to segue, I was so disappointed with the fall of cookies, and it's just the point where like I don't even feel like taking the chance of buying something else and seeing if it's. I've seen some new strains. They sound nice. Doesn't seem like
yeah.
worth taking the risk. Like they're the supreme of weed.
They really are. And I went there once. I probably spent like maybe $100 and something for maybe two or three products. I was like, all right. And then it wasn't even that great, and my wife and I, we're huge GMO fans.
Okay.
It's our nighttime medicine. And cookies said they had it, but it didn't happen to be true. And it wasn't until we went to Lifted, which Lifted, I mean, I, I hate to say it's too far away because it's really not. 30 minutes is not far away,
No.
But with the way that how traffic is in New
Oh yeah.
Jersey, sometimes it gets crazy. But Lifted is a really nice dispensary. But I'm also hearing about new ones.
Oh,
What are some? I'm trying to think what's the right question here. Do you think we're going to start running out of room for dispensaries, or you think it's just going to flourish?
so let's answer this in two parts. Florida currently is only medical. They had a rec bill on the docket this past election, and unfortunately, it was a Curaleaf monopoly, so that didn't go through. And even being all medical, they are flooded down there with dispensaries. Now, noted, I have also seen a downtick in brands since the year started, and other factors that I've noticed troubling in that industry down there. But the point is that just medical, they got flooded down there. Now that also has a lot to do with their population down there. I think it's something that we need to watch out for, but I don't think it's something that we're going to run into, honestly, because they are limiting the licenses already. And I think they've recently said that they're not handing out anymore. That being said, that will not stop. Like, what was it? I just started at Garden State Natural Greens. I'm also going to be starting at Mad Hatter soon, too. Um,
Hmm.
but we had our soft opening a couple weeks ago, and a rep came in from. Have you had Jersey Sauce Boss yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so that's like I think they're from PA or New York or something.
Okay.
But it won't stop the fact that we're going to still get a lot of the micro growers up from New York, private people from PA. Like, I think that if we stop getting dispensaries opening in New Jersey, then the next thing is making sure that we control the traffic from outside New Jersey. And that, that's not dispensaries, granted, but I think we just have to be careful how much we're putting on our plate when we're still trying to perfect pieces of this thing we're doing here.
Yeah. So now there's been like some reports even recently, and I mean New Jersey seems to have a bad a bad rep with this. How some like grow factories have mold in it and like have their molds in it and stuff like that. I know it's gotten much better, but I think there was just a recent report recently
That's the
talking
secret
about
shopper report.
yeah,
So that wasn't about groweries. That was about what was it? They went to a couple different dispensaries, picked up pre rolls that were on sale, and tested them. Now let's look at this. I'm going to break this down like this. It was 30% of them came up with mold and other things in them. Let's look at it like this. That's 70% clean. That's ahead of the past tests that have been done here in other states where it's come up much worse. My best friend is in Florida. She has her medical card. Years ago, she would always tell me about she'd be returning eighths and getting refunds for mold she finds in them. So it's
yeah,
been much worse. And right now, I think 70% of those coming up clean, 70% of those that sat off the plant in a packaging to the point where they're on sale for that long of time. I think 70% of them coming up clean when you have to play devil's advocate to some degree that if it's sitting off the plant and in packaging and still for a long period of time, something's going to happen of degradation. So I think
absolutely,
that's
yeah.
how we have to look at that. Don't consider that a pass for them at all. We definitely need to do better. But I mean, you have to look at this in contrast. Like, let's look at other brands of products that come up with much more poor results and consistencies for clean product, or just don't
Yeah.
even try at all and just say, it's going to come out that way. We're trying. We're trying. It's been worse. Progress has been made. And 70% of something coming up clean is good.
Yes, yes. Do you now? I'm curious about this too. Do you now? I've seen you. I've actually seen you more into the extracts than I've actually seen you smoke flower. Do you prefer extracts?
So this is something I've been sharing recently. People ask this a lot. I love flower, love me a good blunt. My best friend Amanda, who I would not be anywhere in this industry right now without. She taught me literally everything I started out with. Would always smoke blunts together when she lived here in Jersey still. So yeah, I grew up on flower. That was what I started with. There's a theory I have that I think holds a lot of weight. That if you put yourself in a sealed room with a pound of flour and light it on fire. You ever see that episode of American Dad where Roger and Stan go into the barn where it's full of weed and it's burning, and they come out and they're stoned, and then they go into the
Yes,
convenience
I'm
store?
familiar with it.
Yeah. So if you stayed in that barn, you would have got to highlight that. Then they would have died from smoke inhalation before the fire. Whereas if you were to do the same thing in a sealed room with like a giant Zenko and a big cart, you'd get high and then you start to sweat, and then you like want to get out of the room. You'd have a while before you get to the point where you run out of oxygen and pass out. Smoke has its own stronger debilitating, not like in the fatal way, but debilitating properties to it, or
Yeah,
depressive properties, I'd say. They call it concentrate, I feel, for a lot of reasons, one of which is that it really hones in on the effects of that strain and not the head high as much from smoke inhalation. So that's why I
sure.
prefer my carts more, and my dad's.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when I went into the military in 2012. I went to boot camp, and when I had went in, I've never seen an extract in my life at this point. And 4 years later, there's extracts. There was salvia existed at that time too. Then K2 started becoming it, but then like extracts, more gummies, they started becoming more of a thing, and I started getting excited. I'm like, wow, this is what the cannabis world is,
Yeah.
and it was just so nice to see things changing now. you know. And I always made a joke like I would go back in if they would let me smoke, but I lie about that. So
It's definitely just more accessible. I don't think it's changed. Pre-COVID, when I was still buying on the streets, I could count on one hand throughout my lifetime the amount of times I had fear and loathing in Las Vegas type of dealer where he'd show up with like a case of stuff and he'd be like, I got moon rocks, I got this blue dream, I got this lamb's breath, I got carts, I got concentrate. I had a couple times in my life where I had that kind of variety where I was exposed to that. And the rest of the time it
yeah.
was flour, like that kush, I got that sour, and you had to take their word for it.
And thank God we got barcodes for it now.
Yeah, I just, it's not worth buying on the street unless you know that person is running something legitimate. It's for your own good, for the own good of your health, for you to just assume that if you're buying from most of these people on the street, either them or the person they're buying the weight from is doing something to that bud to make you have to return to them.
Yeah, it used to be, and it's funny too because just recently a couple times I see some friends who were who are not in the dispensary world who are still like trying to offer it. None, there's no labels, there's no no nutritional stuff or any information, and it kind of makes me wonder too. Like are they trying to sell me fake weed? Which I doubt it, but at the same time, we've gotten to a point now where if you're giving me something without a label, I don't want to trust it.
Yeah, the one person I would take unlabeled weed from now is my best friend Amanda, and only because she grows. She grows. We that's how we started COVID. I flew when you saw Phil Murphy on the TV is telling us what we could, where we couldn't go, whatnot. I bought a JetBlue ticket to Florida, and we spent the first up until like June growing Maui Wowie hydroponic.
Oh my God. Well, I'm glad to see my co-host Gio here.
Hello.
I gotta ask you, were you making dice overnight?
I am not going to confirm nor deny.
Okay, well that's.
But yes, I have been making some prototypes.
You're a little quiet there, Gio. You able to turn yourself up a little bit?
Oh yeah.
With me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Is that better?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So he was telling me you make dice. I was telling him, and we were talking about that. I was telling him I would love to get you guys with a series where we get you guys on Magic Arena and I show you guys how to play, how to get your account started. Because at the end of the day, I was telling him, if you're doing it to play and make content, paper's not worth it. It's you're spending all your content money for equipment on cards. 10, 15 years ago, it would have been very achievable to get into the paper game. Now it's just to make meaningful content, it's too much. And honestly, paper Magic content is complicated.
I can agree.
Interesting. Yeah, and then I was explaining to him the Fallout RP stuff that you were working on. So we got exciting stuff.
You guys ever seen the Fallout Magic the Gathering set?
Oh my God.
I've seen the sets. In my wild, I guess, buyout of all this fucking Bethesda Modiphius shit,
You guys heard the story about when the Lord of the Rings set came out, right?
No.
No?
No, what happened?
Okay, so what was it? When they released that set, they made a card called the One Ring, of course. They have to. So they released 4 or 5 different art forms of this, and one of those art forms was only one copy in existence. One copy. And this was hyped and hyped and hyped. A month after this set released, someone pulled it. And I had called this long from the beginning once I saw that how much this card was worth. And of course it happened. Post Malone hunted this dude down and bought the card for $2 million.
Wow.
That's the card that he wears, right?
Wow.
He used to wear the Black Lotus, which is another uber expensive card. You could buy a house with that. But yeah, he does, I think, wear that now too. it showed me like through the content that I saw afterwards of him with the card and like going to hobby shops, and it just confirmed me he's a super humble dude and just very very chill. And like
Well,
I can't
He's a
put
nerd.
like TV or media spin on that because he's just playing Magic. Like it's just content of him playing Magic and showing people cards and like, hey, this is I love this. This is it's him being a kid. Like I'm not gonna get suspicious over that.
yeah.
You can't take that away from somebody. You
No, you
really
really
can't.
can't.
Nope, nope, not at all.
So I do want to ask, and I'm glad that that Gio is here for this because I think this is something that me and Gio have talked about too. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You are a certified cannabis advocate for the state of New Jersey.
I'm a cannabis advisor. I work in the cannabis
Cannabis
industry. I'm a
advisor.
licensed cannabis advisor. I consider myself an advocate for multiple things,
Hmm.
but the only things I'm licensed to do in New Jersey is advise on cannabis, drive, and notarize.
Sure.
Very nice. What are some of your responsibilities as an advisor, like the long term stuff?
Well, if you're talking about long term, I think I just stick to the what I consider my own mindset because this is not something that some people may find it silly, but it doesn't stop at work for me. When I started at Air, I was just blown away by how much of an impact the advisement I gave had on people
Hmm.
when customers would return just because of how much product I had used and was able to share with them. There was a time shortly after I started where I was stopped in ShopRite by a woman I had helped, and she said to me, "Aren't you from Air?" And I said, "Yes." And she pulled out her phone and she had all this stuff written down that she wanted to ask me about stuff and like things she was thinking about.
That's awesome.
It's not something that personally stops for me. I'm ready to stop on a dime and talk to people about cannabis all the time. I do it in my content. It's something that the responsibility really is that you have to be ready. You have to be really willing and ready and want to clear the air about cannabis
Yeah.
as long as it takes. I've said this about this industry over and over again that I've worked in retail
Mhm.
data with animals, and with every one of those industries was something that I had come to master and learn when even the or more of the basic stuff that someone wouldn't know, I'd have a thought in my head of like, well, what the hell? Like Google, like common knowledge. Like you had a reason in your head, you didn't say it to them, but you had a reason in your head why you were frustrated at the customer, why they, why now you're having to do something. It's irrational, but it's a thought you have in your head. It's not a thought that I have in the head. It's not a thought I have in my head with this industry. We've been living in the dark about cannabis for so long. So people are not going to know a lot, and they're definitely still not going to feel like it's a place where they can trust just a read on the internet and think
Hmm.
be able to assess if they can weigh it up and feel that's right or not. So we have to at the dispensaries and really anyone who is knowledgeable about cannabis, you should be, if you hear misinformation being spread, if you hear someone's misunderstanding or something about cannabis, clear the air, even if it's not receptive, even if it's not, make the attempt because
Hmm.
like so many things right now in this day and age, in the time we live in now, complacency, doing nothing is complacency.
Yeah,
Hmm. It's just sad. It's
absolutely.
just sad to know that there's still, I mean, unfortunately, in this day that we live in, that there's still a fucking shitty stigma against, marijuana or cannabis in general. And
And
it's usually where I see it most is a lot of like the older generation. You know what I mean? Like my mom grew up smoking weed. Like my
yeah,
mom's fucking 64 years old. She's still fucking sucking on a bowl, like hardcore.
right.
But it's like that stigma still exists with a lot of that older generation where no matter how many benefits or no matter how many like medical positives that we see out of it, they still see it as a terrible thing to do or the devil's lettuce or whatever the case may be.
But it's not. You know what? It may seem like it's a lot of the older people. It's all over.
Hmm.
My grandfather, towards the end of his life, received medical cannabis to comfort him. There's
Hmm.
many elderly people who use, and I know you know this, and it's the young and the old. The
Hmm.
old who have never used it and have no perspective on it and judge.
Mm.
It's the young who have no idea how to understand this stuff and that don't even have a grasp on their own world to begin with, seeing people
Yep.
get high and making their own judgment about it, making that final. It's a mix of things. And it's a complicated job we have in front of us with those elements in front of us, with just the mongering of the pharmaceutical and, funny enough, the cotton industry. Still, yes, that is still a
Yeah.
factor. We have a lot of work, and you know what, I'll say it, I think there's room in this world for both of us. I know a lot of people don't say it, but I don't think it has to be black or white where there's no pharmaceuticals, no cotton, no cannabis. Three can exist together. Pharmaceuticals tackle things in strengths that cannabis can't tackle yet. Cotton is cotton. I don't really have a lot of facts to spit about that. I just know that we're not really looking to completely divvy over to cannabis 100%. There's room for all of it. So I think that if I could share a magical Christmas land thought with you, I think that, but
Of course.
the fantasy I have at the end of all of this administration is that we have a group of people who see the results of lying, of scamming your way through things, and it brings about a more togetherness and unity.
Hmm.
And that's where another one of our opportunities will lie. But don't get it wrong. That's not the only way to go about it. It's not the only opportunity. It's an opening, I see. And it's not a very likely one.
Very true. Do you think that we're gonna get home grow this year?
No. So we're not. We still have. I'm
Such a
still
tough
waiting to,
situation,
or
right?
I'm waiting for when Lefty and everyone go over to the Edison Town Council again, and you guys have seen what they've been dealing with at these town council events, being silenced, having their time cut off, police escorting them out. And I personally have gotten to the point where, the next time they go there, I have a speech written. I'm taking my position as a notary, which is a witness of the state, to say I've been witnessing some foul shit, to say the least. I've been witnessing some unconstitutional, suppressionistic, authoritarian shit going on here when people come with messages that contradict your own, or against your own, or would damage
Hmm.
someone of your party. Um, we're still having that fight. I don't think we're going to have homegrown by the end of the year. There's too many, and
I agree.
let's be frank here. The fact that cannabis legalization is awesome. It's great, and I love it, and I
Yes, it
never
is.
want to look back. The fact that we have to look at, though, is that homegrow becomes complicated once businesses are involved. Now,
Realistically.
Absolutely.
there definitely is an opening I see for people who really want to get their homegrow done. I hope this would work out in the laws of how this is stated up there, but New York has homegrow laws.
Mm.
Yes, they do.
So what someone could do is either buy a storage unit or build something like it and make it their home.
Hmm.
So that's their home. They have all these lockers, all these storage facilities, everything. Rent those spaces out with some sort of a workout with the state for people to come and plant their plants
I like that.
or store their micro business.
Huh.
It's like a bank for seeds, in a
Exactly.
way,
And you
right?
could charge them for rent. You could charge them for upkeep if they needed, because they couldn't come out to New York all the time, or make the time for it. Um, there's definitely something there, and anyone can have that idea, because I don't have the wherewithal to bring that idea to life. But that's something I think definitely needs to be done. Um,
That is a brilliant
Uh-huh.
idea.
Uh-huh.
That is actually really brilliant because it keeps everything regulated, right? Because we have laws where we're not supposed to have a certain amount on us. So
Right.
that having a bank like that kind of helps with that in a way. And then
Mhm.
plus the power that you'll be using from your home by doing homegrown,
yes.
I'm sure will be a big factor too.
And the thing I always hear about the home grow is, well, you're gonna, if you regulate it, you're gonna have to have someone come into your house, and that always pushes people away. And I say to them, guys, you do realize that we have to still play the game a bit. Whether this is morally justified that cannabis is legal, whether we like it or not, it was once still considered a drug. We have to play the game, unfortunately, to not give them another hand to say, oh, look at that, that's a bad thing. We have to play the game. So if that means having someone come into your house to make sure you're not doing sketchy shit, sure, go. Get them into your house. Protect cannabis at that point. It needs to be
Absolutely.
done. If they're not going to not have regulation for this, and not everyone's going to be able to grow outside.
I mean, and it's
It's
also the
true.
fact that with the shit that they're like lacing with weed nowadays, like you find weed laced with like fentanyl, like you just can't trust
And
too
that's
many of these
that we were just
personal
talking
growers.
about that. Just don't buy on the street anymore. It's not worth it. It's
Exactly.
they're doing
Exactly.
something, either fentanyl or whatever. Them or the person they buy their weight from is doing something to make the people come back.
Exactly.
Sad downfall of the dealer, honestly.
Yeah, and you know what? I always think back to Lifted, and their story and how they and how they came to be.
Yeah.
And if
Shout out to
more,
Chris.
Yes,
absolutely, I got that hat. You just went over there for an interview as
yeah.
well.
So I
recently as
actually
well,
just
right?
had them on an episode of Bucket of Buds recently.
Nice.
It was nice. I had a lot of fun at the opening party. It was nice to be able to get back there and sit down with Chris and the other staff members and talk to them about how it's been so far. Chris, he's definitely not sitting idle. He's definitely not just content with this dispensary. He's talking. He's got a lot of plans coming up. I don't want to put them on blast, but he's got things in the works, and
Hell yeah.
he's making moves. I think he's got a great spot in Jersey City there. I think he's got a great look to the dispensary. Definitely pops out to people. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
What are your favorite? And it doesn't have to be in any order at all. What are your favorite dispensaries here in the state?
Okay, we'll go top 5. Please, no one take this personally in advance. Okay. Number 5 is going to have to probably be Rise in Bloomfield. I give it to Rise in Bloomfield because since I'd say 3 years ago, they were the only ones in New Jersey that had consistent sales. There were so many dispensaries 2-3 years ago who'd go weeks, months without a sale, months without a meaningful sale. They would, what was it not this past fall, the fall before that, I got a full gram Witch's Brew select cart from them for $20.
What?
That select, okay, whatever, but
that's like unheard of nowadays.
Good. So they were there with the prices when I needed them, and when no one else was doing that. So definitely shout out to them. And that's number 5 on my list. Number 4. I'd have to say it goes to the Apothecarium. And I think there's definitely a lot of these that go on nostalgia and memory for me as well. But they were, again, another group who was doing, good deals and had a wide variety of brands in the very beginning. And excellent staff over there. They're very nice. Number 3 would probably have to be... Oh God!
Yeah,
The name.
I'm even trying to come up with 5 in my head too, and I
think I'm just going to go to number 2 because I can't think of number 3. Number 2 would have to be Puffin. I love Puffin. Love Puffin in New Brunswick. Nate's an awesome dude. The staff over there are awesome. They've got a cool thing going on with the bird, and they put on a lot of their merch, and they have had a wide menu for a long time. And number 1 would probably have to be Air Woodbridge. Again, they're an MSO, but they were the first dispensary I started working with. They still make me feel incredibly welcome there to this day. And as I was telling Clean at the beginning, you see people that place packed, not because of their menu, because they care, because they take the time. If your cart's not working, they'll walk outside with you. They'll test it out. They'll get things figured out for you. They will figure out what you need and take the time for you. And they will make it a pleasant experience.
I could actually attest to that too, because when at first I was a patient, and I went to Air, but it was called something else, and
Garden
I can't
State,
remember.
the Garden State
Garden
Dispensary.
State, yeah, yeah. That's so simple. I can't believe I forgot that one.
That was when we were like basic bitching it with like those terrible gummies.
Yeah, and it's funny because like the inside of it used to be so small, and now you look inside now, it doesn't even look how it used to be.
Yeah.
Like it's huge, but like they were there for me when I was a patient. They helped me out whenever I had issues. The reward system that they have is great. The discounts, the certain discounts that they have, and that's something too. Like the discounts, each dispensary is different with their discounts. Like Zenleaf has 20%
Mhm.
veteran discount. I think Air has 25.
I think so.
Yeah, I think Air has 25% discount
It-
for veterans. And then they have other ones for low income housing, and really discounts are great. Everybody loves discounts, and they have them at
Yep,
dispensaries,
yep.
I
And
also like
they're,
seeing
like you
shops
said, the
that
rewards
do that, that
program is
take
on
care of
point.
their customers. Like you don't really have a lot of. I don't like going into the shop and immediately feeling like I'm not wanted there. You know what I mean? Where the staff just looks miserable to fucking be there. There's no energy and none of that. I don't want to buy weed there. Like it doesn't make me feel like
Yep.
I want to purchase anything there. Like I'm gonna get something good out of it because the staff doesn't look like they give a shit.
Well, it's
But to
Yep.
have a spot like that yeah, that definitely already attracts the attention. It's like, yeah.
it's I feel like I personally have never gotten the vibe, and I don't discount that you have, but I've never gotten the vibe
Mhm.
that I don't think that anyone in the industry or that dispensary doesn't care. What I get the vibe of is they're antisocial, and they're either trying to break through their shell or still learning to break through their shell. But I
Mm.
have met one person who just shouldn't be in the industry and is no longer in the industry. But
Okay.
that's it. That's it. One person like that. And that everyone else has been amazing. And it's one thing I really love about this industry is that I can, bet on enjoying going to an event.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's so refreshing to hear, especially because like I hear horror stories from like some of the vendors of them like having rivalries with each other, some of them.
Yeah.
And like I just why are you guys upset with each other? You guys are doing the exact same thing. Like,
Mm. It's
just
it's
it's really interesting, and to hear that, it's it's super refreshing. It really is.
and that's I want we need to be together because
Hmm.
if we start doing what they're doing and start competing with each other, we're no better than any other corporation.
Yeah, we're
We're
not gonna make any
fighting. We're
progress like that.
infighting over something that is we should be fighting together with. So that's why that's why I really feel cool. It really feels cool about the letter I'm sending. I got the dispensaries to back because again, that's Spot 23, Urban,
Hmm.
Lifted, Just a Woman Cannabis, not being worried about competition or anything like that. Worrying about making things right and working
Hmm.
together.
Hmm.
Which is
Oh
I'm
yeah.
pointing in that letter the
Also
Green
taking care of
Legion.
the community because Chris
The
made it
group is I'm coining in the
a
letter
big deal
the
to do
group
that.
as the Green Legion.
Now, can you talk about the contents of the letter that you wrote?
Yes. So, as I shared with you a little bit in the beginning, the letter basically states that, or is a call to the fact that we, as people in the cannabis industry, whether it be content creators, those with the business who need to make advertisements, or any sort of cannabis on the internet, deal with the incredible amount of stifling and muting and shadow banning. And I recently sent a letter for myself a couple months ago to the New Jersey Attorney General stating that I was dealing with a lot of shadow banning and nonsense because I was in the cannabis industry. And within a month, I noticed all my videos become unflagged. This, I hope, will produce a stronger result for us, being that we have 4 businesses under it. What the
Hmm.
letter basically states is that cannabis is legal in New Jersey. We should be able to advertise it with our with freely with our First Amendment rights. We are not
Hmm.
hurting anyone. We are speaking facts based on research that has been done on the product, and to not allow that, but to allow alcohol brands to brew their next Four Loko without consequence. to allow pharmaceuticals to make empty promises and paint an unrealistic picture of results, to have a situation where gun laws are different throughout every country or every state, but you don't see them advertising differently on their website. And I don't think anyone's really doing anything about the image use of guns in general.
Yep.
And I mean, if
Yep.
we're going to talk about health, I mean, why don't we tackle the fact that every teenager has a salt nicotine something in their hand? Let's tackle that first before we go towards the medicine. So there's a lot of factors at play here that back up the fact that we deserve to be able to spread our cannabis content and advertisement freely. And if children are watching it, they shouldn't be. We age gate our stuff. We make sure that children aren't seeing it. We put Instagram doesn't allow anyone minors on the internet, so they don't really have a leg to stand on here.
Exactly. I mean, at that point, it's on the parents for not supervising, for not keeping more track of what their children are doing and the activities they're doing on fucking devices. As a parent, I see that often. I had it, with my daughter. Sometimes you put the device in their hands as a distraction so you can take care of your shit, but then you're not paying attention to what they're looking at or what they're doing on their fucking tablet. So they're discovering the entire world since it's right in their hand. And
it's
we're completely clueless about it.
I mean, when I managed GameStop, I did not allow anyone under 18 in without a parent. Like that's just what we deal with. It's not, and you know what? This definitely sounds like the repeat of, every generation, but we weren't like this. There's definitely, I can say we weren't like this. My parents weren't like this. Their parents weren't like this. None of us were subway surfing. Let's just be very frank and look at the state of we are with children parenting. We are at such a bad point with parenting and children that some of them are deciding, they look at how a subway operates. Oh, it's going to go through the tunnel. That tunnel's pretty low to the ground there. I should go right on top of that and I'll be fine.
It's so true though.
Wrong.
It really is. And then some of them start getting creative, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, look, I got this skateboard on here."
I haven't seen that. That's crazy. And you know what? It's crazy because it's so sobering thinking back to when we were kids. Like, at least for me, when my father would say, "You learn from the people you idolize. You learn from your leaders. Your leaders set an example."
So I just want to ask one last question before we close it out. Where do you see New Jersey in 10 years? Where do you see this place in 10 years when it comes to the cannabis community?
I'm going to be optimistic about this because being pessimistic goes nowhere, and you manifest your own reality here. And I mean that on a serious level because look at what we're dealing with right now. Just be very, very real. We have people disappearing off the streets and being sent out of the country, acknowledge sometimes it's a mistake, and refusing to bring them back.
Yeah.
We are also an industry affected by these tariffs. Plastic, glass, the the packaging products we use. There's a lot going on right now that I think is irrelevant, directly not directly correlated, but will affect this. That I think we need to worry about right now. That's bigger than cannabis, and I think all looks positive and well if we can stand together like we've been doing. Keep going to town halls, keep protesting, call this shit out. Because at the end of the day, people, and you know what? I'm just going to put the cards out there right now. People can say what they will about Biden. His team wasn't biting at each other like wild fucking dogs. Essentially, that's me too. I'm sorry. But that's the end of the day. When you have people that are with this kind of morality, with this kind of greed, they're going to turn on each other like wolves.
Sadly,
and that can either bring about, us needing to stand up in some way or their own self-destruction, But that's the nature of it. You already see it happening. They're eating each other alive. So I think while we have this kind of volatility, things are up in the air. Positively, like I said, though, I think we're still going to be dealing with a lot with, I hope not a lot, I think we'd still be dealing with a couple of issues. If I had to say it, I don't think we're going to be at a home grow place in 10 years.
Mhm.
It's just, I mean,
Interesting.
the way things are going. Not to say I don't see progression within the cannabis industry, but I think we have a more important fight to be fighting right now to get to that point.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
for anyone who wants to look for you, where can we find you? What shows do you host? When are you on? Where will
Plugs.
you be? Any
Plug it up.
events?
I'll give you the blast for this first for this week. So Thursday, I will be at MJ Unpacked, the cannabis industry event. Saturday, I'm going to be at Delran Castaway Cannabis food truck. We're gonna have DJ band. I'm gonna be running around making content. It's gonna be a fun day. I'm gonna be there all day hanging with them. And then on Sunday, I'm going to be spending the day with Puffin in New Brunswick. Try to work out a live cast outside if the weather works, but otherwise, just fly the drone around, get some content, have some fun. Maybe eat a colored egg. I don't know. You can find me on Instagram at Bucketman_TV. You can find me on YouTube at Bucketman TV. Those are the two. I abandoned TikTok. I just can't with it anymore. I
Yeah.
don't want to deal with it. Those are the events I'm going to be at every Tuesday and Thursday at 4:20. I'm on the Sativa Cross podcast. Come check me out there. Please reach if you are a person who does not have the time to dedicate to standing inside the dispensary and talking to people. Reach out to me on Instagram if you need advisement on cannabis. I will happily do it, no charge at all. Otherwise, let's just keep making this a better industry and showing off what we are and how much we can do.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
My brother, thank you so much for coming to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week. Have an interesting and a fun and an unforgettable 420.
That's right.
World
Stay
Star
clean.
Hip Hop.